And hello everyone, this is part 25 of our ComputerCraft series. Today we are going to look at some progress that I've made off camera. Sadly that was off camera, but it did require some initial testing, which means that we can now pick our fruits from that labor. At least that's the plan. It did also result in a whole lot of tangled, uncategorized code that we have to fix, remove stuff that was commented out, or stuff that isn't required anymore. So that's what we are going to do today. We will spruce it up, and in the meantime, in the background, our new script will be running. I did set up all the turtles earlier. As you can see, I've mined a few slices already. All these turtles are pre-configured with the usual items in the respectable slots. As you can see, this one has been filled up already since it's been running for a while. But can place glowstone, drop off the items and refuel with those 3 items. That's all working. As you can see also in the terminal, a lot of stuff has been printed since that was still in there from our last episode with some glowstone testing. I will send this off to, this will be the 5th slice of the day pretty much, and let's see how it goes. I kind of have to be in this position, or at least on this line with these red bricks, otherwise one side might get unloaded and the turtles would stop in that regard. That doesn't mean that everything works flawlessly. Like in those 5 slices with the 55 to 60 turtles in there, we did get some information back that we have to address first, which is at one location, at one moment in time, we had a turtle that was attempting to call nil, and I did wrote down some observations that I made. It was at line 185, so that's easily, well, an easy way to find it back. It was at the start of a slice or at the end of a slice. That's something that I don't know. It did have a full inventory and there was a monster on top. I thought everything was working for that, but let's see where that line actually is. This 184, 185. So in the place ender chest storage store item function that we made last time is actually a problem, which does occur if turtle cannot place upwards. That's something that happened in the past, and then it tries to attack up. This one needs to be a big U. Yeah, that does correspond with something on top of it, so a monster was on top of it, and it did need to drop off its items since the inventory was filled up. So I'm pretty convinced that this was the issue that we had to resolve. It might get visible on the currently running turtles as well. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but that might happen. So that was actually quite an easy fix. And then last time we had some issues with glowstone being placed pretty much too early, 1 block too early. And how did I fix that? There was something here. So we did figure out last time if we have a distance traveled. This is something I get back from my for loop in the main script. Then we're going to divide this distance by some interval that we have predefined. In this case, that is 5 blocks. I did notice that that would mean that it will have an interval of 4, since on the 5th block it would place some light source. Well, for me that's fine. Maybe for in the future that's something to work from. Then we would print some fractions and stuff. Pretty much I didn't really resolve the issue, but I did compensate for it. Since at the start at 1 nothing happens, and then only at number 4 it would be fine. But for example, if we had traveled 4 blocks before, so no 5 blocks, but just 4 blocks, it would mean that would be a gap of 7 or 9 blocks between light sources, and that would cause mobs to spawn. So I decided that if the distance traveled is 1, so that's at the start of the script, it will just place a light source down, no matter how far it has to go. Of course, we could work this out a little bit better. For example, refine it if the distance that needs to be traveled is also 1 or less than the interval. That's something for another day. Anyway, we won't need this printing information anymore. Display thing is not needed anymore. But that's how I resolved the issue. Let's get all the way to the top and see what we can comment in and out. It is quite funny, since at the time of recording this I did edit episode 16, 15, something in that, and that was the exact same episode that we started to add some comments, and actually also noticed why we place comments, since it can be quite handy. Let's see. So checking parameters is just a function to check if the given parameters to the program are actually what we expect them to be. So if the type isn't nil, which means that there's some information given, it's interesting, for the length of the table, so for every thing that is given to it, we will check if the stuff inside isn't a nil, or at least the first one isn't a nil. Not sure what we are doing with the other stuff, but that's how we do it. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. That's a bit weird. Let's also make it a small to-do list. Work. We have a creeper staring at us. Rework input for more tools. Okay. I think aside from all of that, if everything is as expected, it will return nil. No. Does actually only return nil if something is wrong. If anything isn't, it's a bit creative, it will return nil. Now it's a bit more clear what's actually happening. Let's take a look at the turtles, and I think all of them are still running, which is good. These kinds of water tiles should be fixed by the turtles themselves. Those who come from the ceiling, like all the way in the back, And that's not something the turtles can resolve, since that's out of their range, quite literally. So let's see, next function is the check inventory. At the start of the turtle script, check if it needs chests and if they are present. So if use turtle is true, or ender, or ender with a capital E, then select all of this, and if the item count is 0, it gives an error. That is quite important, otherwise it will just drop off all its items into the air. Especially with like 50 plus turtles, that would give a big mess. That's good. Find the modem. We have looked over this in the past. I cannot remember that we have changed anything to it. Yeah. Let's get this on a new line. And if it's wireless or not. Yeah. That's all it does. It is, I must say, I'm a bit proud of this little piece of code. It does a whole lot, quite compact. Since if the peripheral get type on the side is a modem, it will just wrap the modem. And if you have asked for a wireless modem, so if this was true and this was true, then it will only send back some information. If you asked for something that isn't wireless, so a wired modem, yeah, you give actually a false here. So this will be false, this will be false, so the statement would be true, it will still return something. So there's actually two things built into one function. I'm proud of it. Kind of the same thing for the modem, aside from the fact that we only return a side. That's interesting. Not sure why that is. Return side if disk drive is correct. It's a small function, but handy to have some comments in it. Write to disk. That's write information string. It has to be a string. Location on disk can only be used when disk drive is present. Maybe we should update this one sometime to check for a find drive. Or not, make the find drive part of the setup loop, which makes it a little more nice to work with. Oh, and I see that our turtles have been finished. I see that all of them have finished. None of them worked out really, which is quite good. Let's fix this hole real quick. This is what I meant with out of the reach of a turtle. Technically, we could make a turtle that would detect if there was a hole in the ceiling, but then it would have to scan the entire ceiling. That would be really, really inefficient fuel-wise. So, yeah, all of it has been mined so far. See, where's our middle point? Yes. And I think we have space in our storage for one more go. So this will be with new code. And luckily they start. Otherwise you would have been into some trouble. This one isn't starting. Okay. Oh, that's maybe something we have to implement as well. I think a turtle isn't one block wide. Okay, that's something for a future episode. Let's see at the code. The load function is okay. That one is from a while ago. Since it is something typed in ComputerCraft itself, and recognize that by the fact that a tab in ComputerCraft is actually 2 spaces instead of 4. Just one way to recognize it. Load all the content from a given file, returns a table, returns a table with every line of the loaded file. Thus close the file in the end. And again, it's kind of a thing with ComputerCraft and Lua, maybe Lua in general, at least in ComputerCraft. You can only open a file, one file at a time. So no multiple files are supported. Get device type, that's all good. So send information. This is, well, where most of the magic has happened in the last few episodes and also off camera. So that will require some things here. Protocol for transmitting data from one PC / turtle / socket to another machine. Version 1 broke due to being too complex to work with. That's kind of how it was. It did have a lot of potential by being really flexible, but yeah, it did have some issues with working in it. Version 2 replaced version 1 completely. It works easier and does scale with the given information that needs to be sent. No backwards compatibility. Wow, is that? With the version 1. Version one should be replaced on the machines. Okay. Something interesting here. Protocol version, that's correct. Computer ID, in-game time, in-game day, GPS coordinates, device type, machine type. Difference between device type is the actual physical machine, and machine type is the purpose that it is serving. In case of our turtles, a remote mining turtle. It would have been handy if this was part of part of the input information, but I think it's a bit more difficult long term to implement it in that way. Reporting given information to D, that's English, into message to send. Info must be in a table. Yeah, that's what is info? Oh yeah, info was the given information. Given info must be in a table. We can actually, we could check that. That was necessary. No, it won't do this at all if it wasn't a table. So that's already built in. Okay. Convert back to table. That's a new function. Convert modem message to table again. Input info must be a string. Should always be a string, since only a string can be sent over the network. That's good, that is completely true. You cannot send a table over it. Returns table. Okay. Convert message to program. This is something that I'm not really using anymore. Simply because in our main loops I'm currently referring to a program that we are running. This is also, once again, dependent on the version of the information that we are receiving. This input table 2, that's no longer in use in this place. So I'm still leaving it in here. Might be removed in the future. So 25 it was, I believe, today's episode. Store items, nothing has really changed here that would mess with what it is doing. Makes sure that chest is placed before storing items. that's pretty much all it is doing. Refuel, nothing's changed. Forward, back, up, down, back up. Yeah. Places right below turtle if turtle has traveled set distance gets right interval from config file. Dig, nothing changed. Line section still the same, and that's at least the end of our Brave API. I think in config file everything is sort of alright. Slot for fuel. Slot for this is distance between right between wow right blocks slot for right blocks, and the main loop is still nothing really in it. So that's good, that's actually quite handy. So without further ado, I think this is still all test code, which is changing constantly. So I'm not going to do anything with that. Did notice that the turtle has stopped as well. I'm hoping that none of them are stuck in this watery environment. Oh, they all made it through, that's good. And yeah, I think that is it for this episode. It is a little bit longer than usual. We also did pretty much our entire Brave API, looked through what was still there, made some comments, so that's actually quite handy. Save our progression as well. And at the same time we did 2 more slices on our turtle hallway. For those who want to know, it's 190 blocks wide, which means that I have to be kind of in the middle to keep everything loaded. Without further ado, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.